Thank you. Tina, thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, to Tina and to Kieran. Thank you very much for the invitation to speak. And indeed, congratulations to business and the community for its leadership in this area and its great achievements to date. I was always taught never to follow a marketing man. I can tell you I now understand the lesson. I normally don't wake up till about 10 o'clock. I can tell you I've smartened up in the last 20 minutes listening to John. It's a very, very significant and interesting subject area. Let me give you a quick Cook's tour of Smurfitt Kappa Group. As many of you know, Smurfitt originated in Ireland, started in 1934. I wasn't around in those days, and it basically rose to about 2,000 employees in Ireland in its heyday, which is an interesting commentary on Ireland Inc. We today employ 800 people, which is not insignificant, but is obviously materially different than 2,000 people. We have 12 locations in the country, 9 in the Republic and 3 in Northern Ireland, across 3 different business areas. That's packaging, security, printing, your passport, for example, we do. And we have the oldest education company in the country and probably in the world, the Education Company of Ireland, which is 101 years old. And again, a few of us weren't around when that was originated. In terms of internationally, we have 320-odd companies in 31 countries. We have almost 40,000 employees, 30,000 in Europe, 10,000 in Latin America. We turn over about €7 billion a year. And in the context of the subject matter, we make 12 million tons of paper, which we ultimately convert into packaging in one form or another. And to do that, we have a network of 38 paper mills, 6 of which are what are called virgin paper mills. That's wood-based paper mills, and therefore, by definition, 32 of them are recycling mills. We have 225 packaging plants and 69 other businesses, such as the educational company, the security printing company, etc. Just turning to the subject matter, I suppose for us, sustainability has a number of significant implications. We're guided very definitely by the Brundtland, should I say, definition of sustainability, which is meeting today's needs without compromising future generations' ability to meet their needs, which was the definition by the Norwegian Prime Minister in 1987. There are 3 categories that we concentrate on in Smurfitt Kappa Group. That's the environment, our people, and by our people I mean our people, our customers, our communities, and fundamentally, and I make no apologies for this in the world of sustainability, nor do the real sustainability people make any apologies for it, and that is economic. In simplistic terms, we call it the 3 Ps. That's basically planet, people, and profits. In terms of the planet, we're guided in our business basically by complying at least with all regulations, but obviously we seek to do more than that. Our focus areas are in forestry, where we have 100,000 hectares in Latin America, water management, which is a critical issue and will be even more critical going forward, and air emissions. If I take them one by one, in terms of our people, we first of all have our own 40,000 people. Our objectives there are very clear. First of all, we are a dangerous business. People die in our business on a regular basis. People get killed. So health and safety is a primary objective in this industry. Secondly, we try to give people careers, not just jobs, and obviously the best testament to that is the people that work for us. We have a very long and sustainable workforce. We don't have huge turnover, which has its own challenges. And then thirdly, we basically want to make sure that they have challenging and satisfying jobs. I can tell you it's a real killer in the milk tours when you go in and say you're in the box business, and they say, what do you mean you're in the box business? We make brown boxes. It's not the quickest conversion factor in terms of graduate recruitment, I have to tell you. You need to really work hard from that opening line. In terms of our local communities, and we are privileged to work with the local communities in which we operate, because fundamentally, building a mill is not the most attractive proposition in the world for people from a get-go. Obviously, if you provide 500 employees with jobs, it gets more attractive. But we have to be very, very careful. So working empathetically with the communities in which we operate is a core, basically, mission statement of Smurfitt Kappa Group. And in the various parts of the world, we have to respond and convert that into some sort of actions. And they range, for example, in the poorest parts of the world, and we operate in the poorest to the richest parts of the world. For example, we operate in Haiti, where we supported significantly the rehousing of people. We operate in Mexico today, which is one of the most dangerous countries in the world, particularly in the northern part. Our plant in Juarez is in the middle of a drugs war. There are 5 people a day murdered as a result of drugs in Juarez. We operate in Colombia, where the FARC guerrillas held it to ransom for many, many years, and where our farms were literally in the heartland of the FARC guerrillas. And we operate for our benefit and indeed for our sins in Venezuela, where they have a unique form of government which is fairly challenging for business, to put it mildly. And in all of these areas, we're dependent totally for our success on our people and on the communities in which we operate. And so therefore reinvesting in those communities is something we do, and I'll touch on that later. And then we come to profits, and quite frankly there is no sustainability if there aren't sustainable profits. We need profits for business, we need profits for investors, as John has said, but we need profits also to develop sustainability. And a critical backbone of the whole world of sustainability and saving the universe is that there's a level playing pitch. It is impossible for Europe or for Ireland to progress sustainability in isolation of the rest of the world. The analogy is simple. If you live in a terraced house and you basically fill your brown bin, your green bin, your black bin, you don't burn your leaves, and everybody around you does, you're wasting your time. So quite frankly, until we level this playing pitch and until Europe negotiate with China and America to step up to the plate, these targets that we are setting ourselves are going to be difficult to achieve. In terms of the challenges we face, our most important raw materials, namely recovered paper, wood, and indeed water, but recovered paper and wood are targeted under sustainability targets as a renewable energy source. Now we have a problem there because actually we need them to make paper, and paper makes packaging, and packaging has a sustainability objective in the world. So our objective with the EU is to ensure that the highest added value use is applied first and foremost to these raw materials, and then ultimately they can end up as a source of energy, and a very successful source of energy. The cost of energy today, which John has touched on, is challenging for most people, not just domestic, but for obviously business as well. And the charges for fossil CO2 emissions from 2013 is something business needs to be very, very careful with. Our industry is very energy intensive, but it's also energy efficient. For example, over 40% of our energy comes from non-fossil fuel sources, and 50% of our CO2 emissions are biogenic. But our challenge is to convert that to even further and higher percentages. Fresh water, which I've mentioned earlier, is an increasing concern globally, and it's essential for our business. You cannot make paper without water. It's not by accident some of the most beautiful spots in the world have a most beautiful mill parked right beside them. That's because we need the water. There are clearly new planning laws that will probably ensure that many of these mills will never be built again, because quite frankly some of them are real blights on the environment. But we work very hard in the area of water, as do many people like Coca-Cola who use huge amounts of water, to ensure that we get ahead of this curve. We only effectively consume net 9% of the water we take in. So the rest we put back into the atmosphere, in almost all cases, cleaner than we took it out. So we take it out of the river, take it out of the soil, or take it out of the lakes, we put it back in a cleaner fashion than we took it out. In 2010, in our Latin American businesses, we reduced our water intake by 10% year on year, and in Europe by 11% year on year. So as well as cleaning it, we're also trying to reduce it by methodologies like increased cooling towers, improving the composition of the paper in terms of its need for water, etc., etc. There are a number of myths about our industry. The starting point from most of the NGOs and most of the environmentalists, historically, I think we're making progress here, was that packaging is bad for you. And, you know, conceptually it's not difficult to buy into that thesis. However, think of a world without packaging. Think of a world without an ability to get products from the factory to the supermarket to the homes. So the first myth is that the world's forests are disappearing, and that is the most significant myth of all, because quite frankly, with sustainable forestry and modern practices, we're reforesting, not deforesting. We plant far more trees than we cut, and so do many, many others in the world. Obviously, illegal logging hasn't gone completely away, but it's very much in decline. The second myth is that only recycled paper should be used. Recycled paper is obviously a good, environmentally friendly activity. However, in the packaging world, and I'm talking only packaging, we do not make printing and writing paper, newsprint, thank God, etc., because they're in decline. But in the packaging world, paper packaging is growing. But the problem with recycling is you need long fibers, and the fibers shorten every time you recycle them. So you need to replenish them with virgin fiber from the forests. So we do need the forests. The third myth is that paper making is highly pollutant. As I said, we have environmental management systems that fundamentally contradict that statement. We basically, first of all, discharge water to the environment that's cleaner than we take in. We have reduced air emissions, noise emissions, etc. I am not saying we've got there. We have a long way to go. But this is an industry that is investing huge amounts to try to change not just the perception, but the reality of how it's perceived. It will take time because the myths have grown over decades. Paper industry is an industry of the past. I got news for you. Paper and packaging grow at GDP growth levels. If the GDP is growing, paper packaging is growing. So this is one of the few industries where there's no patents, no black boxes, no new technologies, no new gizmos. This is my sales pitch to the graduates, I have to say. And it's growing by 3 to 4% every year. And nobody's going to surprise you tomorrow with a new development that wipes you out. That's boring, but interesting. And I think that's the type of proposition I think that has a sustainable career path for many people. Paper consumption is damaging, and use bulk products instead to avoid packaging. Paper packaging has developed and driven huge economic benefits for the ultimate important person, the customer, the consumer. People can buy things in the quantums they want. They can buy small packages, big packages. They can buy alternative grades of products. They can buy big bulk packages. So packaging has three purposes. One, it transports products safely and without damage from A to B. The damage levels without proper packaging are enormous. The waste level is enormous. Secondly, packaging today, in terms of hygiene, is a huge focus area. And so packaging and food packaging is delivering safe food to the household. And then thirdly, packaging is a recyclable and a reusable commodity. But most importantly, our form of packaging, as distinct from plastics, which is the last myth, which is reusable packaging is more ecologically favourable. Our packaging you can basically print, display and market your products on. And secondly, if those of you who can remember the big scandal in Germany during the summer, basically every photo you saw on the TV showed returnable plastic crates, which was the source, the world believed was the source of the problem. In fact, in typical German fashion, it was in their own backyard. It was an organic farm in northern Germany that caused the problems, but the Spanish, unfortunately, paid the price. For us, sustainability is a natural. The business we're in needs it, uses it, and wants it all the time. If we start with the forest, which is the origination of our business, we have tree nurseries. As well as forests, we have world-class tree nurseries in Colombia and Venezuela. We do enormous research in eucalyptus and pines, and we work with universities all over the world. And the myth that the Latin Americans are not as well advanced as Europeans, I can tell you in our industry, they're way ahead of us, way ahead of us. The large forest ownership in Latin America for us allows us to promote natural growth, but also a key area, one of the great graduate programs we have is in the whole area of entomology. We are big in bugs. We are world-class researchers in the area of bugs because bugs destroy the natural habitat. So biodiversity is a critical focus area for us as well. In terms of energy, we have up to 200 million of investments in the last 5 or 6 years in biomass boilers in Colombia, in Sweden, in France, and Spain, and other places apart, where we basically produce green energy for the grid. We take the steam, we sell it to the grid, and both John and Porrick would be very familiar with this. And we're one of the biggest users of recycled paper in the world. We're second biggest after one of the utilities. We use 5 million tons a year. And we can recycle paper 8 to 9 times before it actually fragments and breaks down. And that gives us an enormous ability for a closed-loop system with our end customers in terms of collecting from the end market, taking the paper back, remaking paper, but remaking packaging and going again. And that's an optimal use of a very scarce raw material. And then obviously forests, for those of you who are into the science, is a very strong carbon basin. As I said earlier, this is a business that really is quite simple. Everybody can build a mill, everybody can buy a corrugator, everybody can make paper and packaging, and the only point of differentiation is people, and how your people perform, how you deal with their people, and how you deal with communities in which you're privileged to operate. And this montage of pictures is effectively reflecting the type of things we do with the communities. Our driving force behind corporate social responsibility is self-help. We will not support charities straight up. We'll obviously do the ordinary stuff, but our major investments are around co-matching of energy, effort, money, and people's commitment. And so on that montage we have forestry schools in the hearts of Colombia using kids from the barrios who have no chance of education. We put them through primary, we put them through secondary, the good ones go to university, and then they come and work with us as some of our best foresters, some of our best mill managers in the world. In Venezuela we have health brigades where the local communities, we have basically treated free of charge 100,000 people this year who have never ever in their life had a medical examination, didn't know what medicine was. And so we and our customers and our suppliers have cooperated to give these poor people basically a huge fillip in terms of the quality of their health. The consequence, they live longer. Many of these people are dying at 50 years of age as old people. And in Ireland, our CFO led a team who cycled from Paris to Dublin. Main objective of that was to support spina bifida, but the real purpose was to convince the CFO that there are tougher things in life than making profits from paper packaging. and now he believes. The surgery went very well. And we do many other things like that, but the main purpose is that we engage our people to work with the communities in terms of their own voluntary effort, and we support with money and with time. In terms of our commitments, and we have very clear commitments, we have issued our 4th annual sustainability report, which is now being independently validated by some of Terence's people, which holds our feet to the fire in terms of commitments and delivery. In terms of the commitments, the overarching commitments, we have a commitment to use effectively all fresh fibre from sustainable sources by 2015. 90% of our paper and board will be from certified chain of custody sources, and 90% of our packaging from certified chain of custody sources by 2015. In terms of CO2 emissions, which is the big target for the European Union, 20% renewables by 2020, we have a commitment, and we're well on track to reduce our emissions by 20% by 2020 compared to 2005. And in terms of water, we have a commitment to reduce our water, the organic content of our discharged water, which is COD, by 10% by 2020 compared to 2010. And in terms of the Code of Business Conduct, we have a huge commitment to our people, our communities, etc., to behave morally, responsibly, ethically, and hopefully properly. Don't just take my word for it. One of the important validations, apart from the underpin that KPMG give us in terms of reviewing our performance in sustainability, is what our customers say. They pay the bills. They are the people actually who sustain us. And our customers are basically the people who ultimately sell into Chris and others. We have 58,000 customers in the group. The biggest customer is 2.5% of our turnover, and on this chart that customer exists. And Unilever, basically, we won their Winning Through Sustainability Award this year. In Coca-Cola's case, we got the best corporate supplier in the area of responsibility and sustainability. And in Birmingham, in terms of recycling and recovered paper, we won a European award with the Council for the best information and education campaign this year, where we targeted a whole recycling campaign and education at 93,000 households. Tina at the beginning raised the question as to whether we're moving fast enough or we're transforming fast enough. In our case, we have little choice. It starts with regulation and it starts with our customers. The biggest pressure on us ultimately is what our customers and our customers desire. And as most of you know, sustainability and sustainability claims will be on packaging on the supermarket shelf in relatively short order. Basically, there's a massive appetite for information and education in consumers and society at large today. So we have no choice but go that route. But it's good, profitable activity, because there are profits in sustainability if it's done properly, and there has to be, because otherwise it won't literally sustain. So our industry on the forestry side, we've been greening our forestry for quite some time. In packaging, in the same way as John said, it's in the interest of the energy businesses that you consume less, because obviously everybody gains in time. We are taking packaging out of the mix all the time. We're making better use of packaging, better strength of packaging. In terms of investment, we are investing to the maximum extent possible, consistent with returns. So our biomass boilers and the like, wastewater treatment plants, etc. In terms of recycling, it is our business. It's a profit centre for Smurfitt Kappa Group. And then finally, in terms of the international initiatives, we are clearly committed to them. We're committed to them in terms of practical on-the-ground activities, reporting activities, but above all else, as a responsibility to the people that matter in our world, the customers, our own people, the communities, etc. But let me leave you with one thought, and that is, we are committed to all of this with one caveat, and it's a key cornerstone caveat, and that is, we have to have a level playing pitch. It is impossible for Ireland or Europe or anywhere to save the world on its own. It has to be done in a balanced and a committed way, and there has to be a sustainable profitability backbone to it. So thank you for your attention. In the room at the back, I think we have our sustainability summary for those of you who don't want to read the 120 pages. 120 pages is much better, but this is an easy read. Thank you very much.